another episode of Excuse My Baggage, where me, Shayna, and my dad talk about life.
Wait a minute, I'm supposed to insert my name, aren't I? Paul, RutgersMo. All right, get on.
RutgersMo Paul. Okay. How are you doing today, Dad?
I was doing fine until your arms were exposed.
I know. So before this started, we had a whole back and forth where we were testing the lighting and everything. My dad didn't know how to turn on a microphone.
I know how to turn it on. Wait a minute. If you're going to inject your opinion, I had just been to the optometrist. The optometrist put in several different eye drops, one to numb them, one to dilate them. If you've ever had your eyes dilated, then you'll realize that you're partially blind. You're very sensitive to light, and you're partially blind for a while. So you're telling me, or you're asking me to do things that you can't do. Don't forget, you couldn't hear yourself a while ago, so we had deaf, dumb, and blind. It's an expression.
Okay, well, that I feel like is also kind of rude, so I apologize, but
it's not rude. It's an expression.
Okay, well, I'm sorry that I was inconsiderate of your dilated eyes. And yeah, my arms were exposed. I still don't know if my arms look too exposed
they still
now,
are.
but they're exposed and we're just gonna roll with it. So thank you.
What the hell was the subject?
I actually have no clue, but basically, welcome back to another episode of Excuse My Baggage, where today we are going to be unpacking our past, present, and future. So we're going to be...
I think we're packing, or I think we're packing it. You're saying we're unpacking.
We're unpacking.
I'm packing.
We're going to unpack.
All right, you unpack, I'm packing.
There's things to unpack, right? I think it's kind of an expression, like, let's unpack.
Like deaf, dumb, and blind.
Like deaf, dumb, and... So we're going to unpack our past, present, and future. Okay, so that's where we were going with this. So we get it. Your eyes are dilated. You don't know how to use a microphone because
I know how to
use
the damn microphone.
Well, you do now, and I'm very proud of you. I'm glad you figured it out. And
well, I needed Connie, my girlfriend, my pesto.
Your significant other.
My pesto enigma. That's a whole nother topic. But
I've never heard you refer to her as your pesto enigma.
Yes. Pesto enigma.
That is new.
Yeah, well, it's
pesto
it's
enigma.
Yes.
Okay. Well, so with that being said, there's a lot that we could discuss. There's a lot of life, that we've both lived. I mean, I have 26 years of life experience, and you have, close to 80 years of life experience. And so you have quite an interesting past, I will say. And so today I kind of thought it'd be interesting to start off with discussing a little bit about your past and learning more about Paul Morrison, RutgersMo, and what the last 78 years of your life have been like to some extent. We can't discuss.
It's been absolute hell, I'm telling you. Go ahead. What are you asking me? What is it?
Well,
spit it out.
I think you should take that statement back. I don't think the last 78 years have been hell. I mean, that's kind of a harsh statement. I know it's a joke, but
yes,
it's purgatory.
You just froze.
Oh, did I? You just froze.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's.
I think we're fine.
This is not. We're going back into middle school. No, you are. No, you are. Give me a break, would you?
Okay, so I'm curious if there's a moment from your childhood that if you could bottle it up and revisit it anytime, what moment would you bottle up and why?
How old are we talking?
Any age. Just what's a memory that pops into your head that you're like, this was a very special moment to me, and if I could go back and live this day anytime, what would that day be? What's popping out to you?
Several things are popping up. My parents and I moved. Of course, I would be moving with them because I was only 5, so I wasn't old enough to leave. But they basically found a house in Belleville, New Jersey. It was a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. It was kind of cute. Stone or brick. And we were 4 houses from the school. What happened was, in 1st grade, I was in a play along with my best friend, Barry Hirschberg. Barry and I were toy soldiers. We're coming on Christmas and Hanukkah, and we were in a Christmas play. We didn't have a speaking part, but in either case, we started goofing around. I don't know what it is that we did, but we must have done something that pissed people off.
Okay.
And
typical.
Yeah, but we were in 1st grade.
Expected.
First grade. Give me a break. So anyway, the next morning, I came into school, and my teacher's name was Mrs. Hannah. Mrs. Hannah looked to me to be like 190 years old. I didn't like her. And I don't think she liked me. So we had a mutual hatred of each other. And when I came in, she started asking questions like, and what did your mother think of Paul's performance? They kept going around in a circle and they kept asking, and what did your parents think of Paul's performance? Oh, they thought it was horrible. It was just outrageous. They continued asking the questions and eventually I threw up. Literally. I don't know if I threw up on Mrs. Hannah's shoes or not. I'd like to think that I did.
You threw up because of nerves, like, or you
Oh,
were
yeah, I was
I'm
anxious.
still okay. You
I
were
was re
okay. You
I was
threw up,
really upset because
and you
everybody in
want to
the
go back
class
to
was
this
saying that they're
moment. You want to bottle up this moment where you puked in
no,
front of your class. This is the
I
moment
puked.
that's popping into your head.
Yes, listen, you're getting the truth. This is exactly what happened. So, this is probably what led me on whatever the heck path I'm on. And then the next thing was, I guess there was a school nurse. They sent me home. I guess my mom came and picked me up, and I wound up getting chicken noodle soup and watching cartoons, and it was great. It was way better than going to school. And what I learned there was when you don't feel good, or if you think you don't feel good, just lay in bed and watch cartoons and eat chicken noodle soup, and it'll
Noodle
get
soup.
better. Yep, that
Huh.
was it.
So, I'm assuming you would go back to the lying in bed, eating chicken noodle soup, watching cartoons, not necessarily the puking, throwing up part, right? Like,
Well,
that's the
lying in bed and watching
lying in
cartoons was
bed,
great. Yeah, that was great. I
but
like
it was
that.
the puking that got you there.
Yeah, the
Okay.
puking got me there, and it was, it was
I mean,
disgusting, and
yeah, that's an interesting memory. Thanks for sharing that. That's
it's
an
good.
interesting memory to bottle up. It's cute. So, I guess what would that version of you, little 5, 6-year-old Paul, think of who you are today?
He'd probably puke and wanna go watch cartoons and lie in bed and not deal with any of this stuff.
If he saw the man that you've become, you think he would just throw up? This
I'm
is
not
disgusting. This is Can we move on from the throwing up portion?
well, yeah,
You
sure.
think that 6-year-old you would just throw up out of
No, 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 I don't remember throwing up again for quite a long time,
great.
but it was I do remember that. I was very, very anxious, nervous, and that
Yeah.
was something that's a trigger point. That's an absolute trigger point for me.
Yeah. Huh. Well, what okay, so I guess younger you, maybe not 5, you let's skip past 5, 6. What would, like, 10, 11, 12, preteen you think of who you are today? Did you have any dreams when you were that age that you were like, "I wanna become a dad." You, like, knew you wanted to become a dad or you wanted to
No.
become,
What
okay,
10-year-old boy wants to become a dad?
I don't
That
know.
I don't think so. You wanna be a baseball player, or a football player, a basketball
Yeah.
player, a rock and roll guy,
I think
what
you would be proud of yourself. I
but
think young Paul would
not
be
at that
proud of
age.
the man he's become.
I didn't start taking the accordion again until I was 8.
Mm,
So, at age 8, I had a little 12 bass, accordion, little red one, and used it when I went to camp. My parents sent me to camp every summer for 2 months, literally. That's kinda hard at first, the first time that you go. You're away from your parents, you're away from your friends, and my parents were trying to do the right thing. They were just trying to take care of me, and they couldn't do that because they had a store and they had obligations, and that's how we made a living. And they wanted me to have a good time. That's the good news. The bad news was that when I went to camp the first time, I went to a camp called Stony Clove
mhm,
in, I think it was in the Catskills. One of the guys that I've met up here, who's a judge, who came from New Jersey, went to the same camp, maybe a year or 2 before or after, I don't know. We both traded stories and we decided we both hated it. We couldn't stand Stony Clove, hated it. And I don't remember much about that. Other You asked me for a moment, so here's another moment. This is
m'kay,
probably 2 years later in the summer, and counselors were basically college students trying to earn money for the summer so they can go
mhm,
back to school. And there was some guy, I don't remember much about it, but he did indicate that he was going to hypnotize me. I don't remember how he did it or what, but I do remember him having pins and he poked me in the arm. And he said, "You're going to feel this." And he poked me in the arm and I felt it. And then he said, "I'm going to
'cause he
poke you
poked you with a
again."
pin, like that yeah.
Well, it might have been a pin. It may not have been a pin. I don't know what it was. I mean, you got to remember, we're going back maybe 70 years. I don't know what the hell it was, but whatever the hell it was something that I felt a pinprick. Then he
Okay.
said, okay, I'm going to do it again and you're not going to feel it. And he did it again and I didn't feel it. Now he might have pulled it back and then I wasn't watching, because who wants to see yourself getting stuck with a pin? So in either case, my parents came up and visited me at some point, and I told them about what was going on, and
Yeah.
they wound up getting this guy fired.
Oh my god. I
Literally.
wonder what he's up to, what he did with his life after
Well, I'm
he got fired from a camp for jabbing a kid with a needle. Well, I'm
too
sorry, you
bad.
wanna go back to this moment? You hated this camp and
Well, I hated it. I didn't go back there. I went to Camp Blue Mountain. Now, Camp Blue Mountain, the next year, we're now advancing. Next year was interesting because there was baseball, which I loved, and
mhm.
sports. That was the good news. The bad news is we weren't able to do any of it because there was a hurricane. The hurricane was in 1955, and I believe it was Hurricane Diane. We were on the top of a mountain in Blue Mountain, which is in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, not New York anymore. And what happened was it was raining and raining. Every day it was raining. And you'd have to write a letter to your folks. And I would say
Uh-huh.
things like, I don't know what we did today. It's raining. And the next day it's still raining and there's more rain.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of water. There was nothing to do. You stayed inside. We might have listened to some records or something like that. And as we continued, there was news that came up to us that there was a camp down below us. We were on the top of a mountain. Below us, there was another camp where supposedly 30 or 40 kids died
Oh
because of
my god.
the hurricane. I couldn't find it when I looked it up one time, but I do remember hearing that
Wha
rumor.
Well, thank you for not sending me to any of these camps. Thanks. I appreciate that.
That's all right.
Awesome. I guess with those stories that you told.
You were hoping for something more
Yeah.
inspirational, I suppose.
No, no, I really at this point, I'm kinda just like, "Whatever the hell you're gonna say, I'm here for it." So, you got some interesting stories, you got the chicken noodle soup, you got the hurricane, you got the pinprick or needle, whatever the hell's going on.
The
Another
vomit. Yeah, all of it.
question,
Yep.
I know, yeah, all of it going on. I guess,
Oh, yeah.
aside from these camp stories and childhood barf stories, is there another specific scent, sound, or taste that would, like, transport you back to a moment in your childhood, and, like, what memory does that evoke? Please do not say anything that involves
Yeah, you mean
any
hallucinogenics.
bodily fluid, anything, yeah, I
No,
mean,
no,
no
I don't.
drugs.
I don't.
What
You asked a
what
general question, and these things popped in my brain.
I
I
know,
can't
and
help that.
you can't, but, yeah, like, did your mom have a favorite dish she would cook, or your dad, or a neighbor down the street, have a
That sounds
favorite.
boring. What do I want to talk?
Eh,
I'm not a foodie. I don't really, we just had
you
food.
honestly aren't. You were the farthest thing from a foodie, it's kind of ridiculous. Like, you wanna know what I think of when I think of you? Like, your go-to
No.
food?
All right, go
A
ahead.
cheese sandwich. Not even grilled cheese. My dad has this concoction where he takes cold bread and then he puts a slice of cold American cheese, covers it in walnuts. Sometimes he might add a little sprinkle of some chopped up dates. You've done this before. You've done it before.
I have.
I'm not just pulling this out of my ass. Like, you've made this. And that is the cooking that I have seen you do. You're not a foodie. I'll say that. But was there when's the last time you made a cheese sandwich?
Today,
Oh,
but
yeah.
not with walnuts and dates. I forgot about that part. You get to the basics. The basics are
Yeah.
cheese and some type of carbohydrate, whatever it
Mhm.
is. So I had crackers, but tomorrow I'll probably have it with dates and walnuts. That's great. I'll try my recipe. Your
Yeah.
recipe, it's somebody's recipe. I don't know who it is.
It's not mine. I do not associate with the cheese sandwich.
I don't even like cheese.
You do
Well, no,
but
the concept of it kind of is a turnoff, but I am
yeah,
eating it. I am eating it when I have my
you are
pizza. Well, it's
well,
protein or calcium, something.
interesting. So, I guess I have a story time. So, this is also off the wall random, but, like, when I think of a specific sound that takes me back to my childhood,
Yeah.
I think of the sound of lint rollers. Now hear me out. You're like, "What sound does a lint roller make?" So,
Mm.
childhood, I knew it was time to wake up when I would hear the sound of lint rollers being smushed on the ground because mom was killing ants So I
Oh,
knew that
right.
was my call to wake up and start lynch rolling these ants with her. So long story short, childhood, this would happen every year in the rainy season when,
Well,
like,
what
the ants would invade the house.
you need to explain why.
It's because she was anti-pesticide. She was
No,
anti-pesticide
she was asthmatic, and
and asthmatic,
she was severely asthmatic. Well,
severely,
asthmatic,
yes,
right? And so
and so
therefore,
no chemicals could be used in the house, which is
right,
totally valid. So
makes
anytime
sense.
there was a pest or ants or something that entered, we would have to kill it the natural way, like bugs entering the house. And
He
so
tried the lint
ev
roller on me several times, but it didn't work. Keep going, keep going. Never mind.
okay, okay. Well, she would make me kill ants with her. We would have pretty bad ant infestations, I will say, in our childhood home. If there was a singular crumb left on the ground, all the ants were coming in. And I just remember that every single year, I would smush ants with her and just like have to spend my mornings with lint rollers killing these poor ants. And so every time I hear a lint roller, I'm just instantly transported back to childhood and killing ants. And
You
that's
hear
a
you hear a lot of lint rollers where you are there.
Yeah, it's a daily thing. It's 5:45 on the dot every day. Everyone whips out their lint roller and it's time to smush the ants. So this is a common occurrence. So every day I'm transported back to childhood. I mean,
No,
you
I know.
weren't kidding, right? No one lint This is a rare thing that happens. I'm not lint rolling every single day. I don't hear people lint rolling. I will
I'm
say a sound that is very common in the Long Beach community is parrots. So there's a bunch of parrots that were I believe this different than ants and lint rolling. But
yeah.
there was I think the story's true. I've tried to fact check it a few times, but basically there was a pet store fire in like the 50s and a bunch of green parrots left the pet store to evacuate the fire, they're like it got to fly away. And so they ended up populating all these trees around the Long Beach area. And so to this day, the parrots live on, and every morning and every evening you hear the squawk of these parrots without fail. It adds a nice little tropical vibe, I guess you could say. But closing the loop on my whole ant lynch roller extravaganza, this is not a memory that I would capture up and put in a bottle if I could. I really could not give
And
two
yet
shits about
you spoke about it.
and yet I spoke about it because
Yes.
somehow I guess I think that this is a pertinent story to the journey of my life this far in 26 years.
You were trying to set me up before with something that would have been nice or fluffy or whatever. You got the Mrs. Hannah and the vomit story
And the vomit
and s-
story, that's the story I
and the
got
and
instead. So, I guess fast forwarding a little bit here. So you attended both Rutgers University for your undergraduate degree and then Cal State Long Beach for your master's degree. So I'm also just curious to know how that
Mm.
time in college kind of shaped you, both academically and personally.
Well, at Rutgers Newark when I started off, I was going there because it was local. I could take a bus. I didn't have a
Mhm.
car. I don't know why I didn't apply to Rutgers, New Brunswick initially, but I didn't. And some of my friends were very bright and they got into Rutgers, New Brunswick, and that was their safety school. And I got into an engineering school, Newark College of Engineering, which doesn't exist anymore. It's now called New Jersey Institute of Technology. I remember getting in early along with a couple of friends, and I went down there and we looked around and we were looking, I was thinking of becoming a chemical engineer. I was good in chemistry. I enjoyed it. I looked around and all I saw was a bunch of guys, Bunsen burners, tubes. And I happened to ask somebody the question, where are your girls in this school? And apparently I might have been looking at a girl, but I just didn't know it.
Uh-huh.
And there weren't very many of them. There might have been, we're talking about 1964, so it's 60 years ago. There weren't a lot of girls in engineering in those days. So I looked around and then I made a very prescient decision, and that is I'm not going to this school because there's no good looking babes here, and that's not going to happen.
Valid.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely valid.
Yeah.
Whereas Rutgers Newark was actually a step ahead of Rutgers New Brunswick. Rutgers New Brunswick was an all male school, and they
Mhm.
weren't integrated until the year that I left. When I left, that's when girls and guys could be in the same class together. Before that, it was a strictly all boys school. Princeton was like that. Several other schools were like that. We're talking about the late 60s.
Yeah.
But at Rutgers Newark, there were girls, women, and a lot of them were pretty, or some of them were pretty, and that was good. Between going to class, finding out whatever the heck the lecture was on, and then checking out who was in the class, that took up most of my time. There was no directed thinking, like, what am I going to do? How am I going to use this knowledge? None of that. Some of the kids actually understood it, but I didn't understand that.
And this is what you got from college. Solid takeaway from college, Dad. So good job. Okay. To reiterate, you were studying psychology, correct? You got your undergraduate degree in psychology. Do you even remember, or just
Well,
babes, the study of babes? Who the hell knows?
babeology. No, most of us who studied psychology were either one, messed up, or two, it just sounded like something that you could bullshit your way through. And
Which
well,
next episode, we're going to talk a little bit more about bullshit ability. Because
absolutely,
you
we
got,
will.
technically speaking, you have a BS in BS.
No, I have a BA in BS, but that's all
You
right.
have a BA in BS. Yes, yes. My degree was going to be in psychology. I started off as a psychology major, and then I switched over to business management, and then I switched over to business marketing, where I ultimately got my degree. But I did start as a psychology major too at one point, but did a little switcheroo. So
It's an interesting comment. I applied to Rutgers, New Brunswick to transfer. My grades were really bad. I mean, like, not horrible, but the second semester at Rutgers, I had a straight flush, an A, a B, a C, a D, and an F. Not good. And
yeah.
I mean, the D was in French, but that was better than my English skills, which was apparently an F. We had this crazy professor. I can see him. He was balding and he used to wear a suit and he had in his lapel a flower. I want to say red, but I think that's really an
These are the
exaggeration.
important details. No, I need to know what color flower did he have, Dad?
Well, he used to basically tell all of us that we were idiots. And we probably were for listening to him. And he would say things like, until you've read and understand Macbeth, you won't understand life. Then he would go over and bang his head literally on the wall. The first semester, I got a D and thought, well, it'll get better. The smart kids got the hell out of this guy's class. I had to take the class over again in summer school. And when I did, I went to Rutgers, New Brunswick. I wound up basically getting a good grade. I think I got a B. And I think whoever this guy was, he might have been the same guy who was poking me.
Concussion from, he could have been
Could
the
have been, but
same camp counselor.
that's
Sounds like the
exactly what I was
vibes
going to
were
say.
there.
Right.
Yeah, I know. I got you there. You had an interesting college experience. So
I'm
you
not sure what I learned
graduated.
about it.
You
Are you
learned.
asking or telling me I graduated?
I'm telling you, you
Oh, okay.
graduated,
I
Dad.
graduated. I do
You
have a
did.
diploma. Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank
You
you.
do. You technically have two. You have your
I do? Oh, yeah,
BA.
that's right. That's right.
Surprise. You have your BA in psychology, and then you have your MPA, so your master's in practically anything, aka your
Absolutely.
master's in public administration. So, congrats on getting 2 degrees.
2 degrees of
And
God only knows what.
who knows what, but you got them, so congrats. And I ended up going to Cal State Long Beach, where you got your master's. But I want to say that graduating from Cal State Long Beach is one of my biggest accomplishments. Getting my degree in marketing, it was a very intense 4 years, I'll say, for me. There was a lot of life going on. Going back to the whole thing of feeling proud and accomplished, getting a college degree, that's definitely something to be proud of. You were the first in your family, right, to get a college degree?
Yes. Yes, that's true.
Yeah. So I think that's a big accomplishment. And thank you for pushing me toward that route to also continue my education. I grew a lot in those 4 years. I met a lot of really close friends that today I literally consider to be like family. And I'm really grateful for my time at Cal State Long Beach, because if it wasn't for that opportunity, I wouldn't be the person that I am now. Well, one quick question. Is there anything that you are the most proud of in life? Quick answer. Just what are you the most proud of accomplishing?
I have no idea. I
Great.
have no idea. I
Next
have no
question.
idea.
Okay. You're not proud of anything. Nothing.
And the question is most proud. There's things that I'm proud of. So having children made me proud. I was very happy when Michelle was born. I wound up passing out little bubblegum cigars at an IHOP the day she
Uh-huh.
was born. I was proud when Brandon was born.
That's
I was very
cute.
proud when you were born.
Thank you.
I was proud when I got married the first time, the second time, the third. All of those things made me proud. Not proud
Yeah.
going through the divorces,
Going
but
the divorce and annulment, I'm sure those were not proud
no,
moments,
not good. But getting
but
married is always good. Married is good.
marriage is good. Yeah, yeah.
Divorce not so good.
Divorce, but it happens. Divorce happens. I
Yes.
used to say that I wanted to oh god, I literally used to say that I was like, "I wanna get a sweatshirt that says on it, 'Divorce happens,' with a period at the end, just full sentence. Divorce happens," because it does happen. It happens quite a lot, and people should not feel ashamed for getting divorced. I don't wish divorce upon anyone. I mean, you've had your handful of marriages and divorces. I've never been divorced. I've never been married, so I don't know how I would get divorced if I've never
Why don't you
been
get
married
divorced
before.
first and then married?
You know what? I think that's the game plan.
Now you
Uh-huh.
know that you know that Biden pardoned his son Hunter. We're going
Mhm.
political just for a moment.
Okay.
And there's the potential for Biden to pardon some of the other people who were, according to Trump, out to get him or whatever. So he may have a blanket pardon. Why not just do a blanket divorce and divorce all males on the earth at this time? Everybody. And then when you get married, you'll be fresh. It's just an idiotic idea for an idiotic topic for our
Sure.
podcast. There you go.
Yeah. That's 2025 goal is to divorce everyone in LA County.
Oh, think bigger than
Sure.
that. All of California.
California. Yeah, okay. Good goal. Cool. Thanks, Dad. I guess with that being said, what does it feel like to be Paul Morrison in December of 2024? So what is it like just being you now,
Well, my eyes are
existing as you?
running. My eyes are still dilated.
Yeah.
And what does it feel like to be me? Well, you take every day as it comes. You try to make the best of it. And yet we have things like this, like these conversations, which are mindless on the one hand. On the other hand, there's all kinds of triggers that came up because of the questions that you asked. And while it may not have been what you wanted, and it may not have been what I wanted, when I listen to this or you do, we may wind up saying like, good God, what is that crap all about? On the other hand, I
Yes.
hadn't thought of some of these things in quite a long time. So
Yeah.
memories are embedded, and if you can still get them, great, great. So that's it. That's all I
Well
got.
well, thanks for sharing that, and thank you again for being here to do this podcast with me, um, and for sharing your stories and for sharing your memories that happen to pop up, regardless of how freaking weird they are or not weird
Nauseating.
or
They're nauseating. Yeah,
nauseating.
yeah.
I'm glad you're
Literally.
sharing them, but I hope that this stirs up more positive memories and memories of stories that you want to tell, not just ones that are nauseating. So, cool. Thanks
I'm
for
not
that.
judging. I'm not judging them. I'm just
I
sharing them.
I guess okay, random quick question then. Quick
No,
answer.
no.
But if someone shadowed you for a full day, what do you think they would find the most surprising about your current daily routine or lifestyle? What's a random part of your routine where you're like, huh, someone might find this a little bit wacky?
Housebound. A
What?
lot of housebound. I'm very home centric.
You
I'm
are very
comfortable.
home centric.
I'm
You are.
comfortable in this environment. I'm
You
not
are.
I'm not looking to climb into this hiking pattern, this mountain, this path. I'm not interested. I'm more interested in just seeing what's going on in the world on my computer and
Yeah.
screening it. So that's probably what they would be most surprised about. And I am
Is that
too a
you
little
stay
bit.
home. I mean,
Well, somewhat, yeah. I do get out. I mean, I got out today
you
to get
do.
my
You
eyes
get your eyes
dilated.
dilated. I'm trying to think if there's anything wacky with my current routine. Nothing is wacky. I don't think there's I mean, maybe there is. But I'm really grateful that I live where I live because every day I will go to the beach and just look at the water. And my favorite thing is just seeing the sun hit the water and seeing the way it glistens in the sun and how that's a daily part of my routine is like every single day I get to see the ocean. I'm really grateful for that. I don't think that's shocking, but I think if someone from like Arkansas shadowed me for a day and they were like, what the hell? Like you see ocean every day. If anything, it's just something I'm grateful for because I know that
You'll
there's
be mo-
so many
you'll be more grateful if you don't give out your address.
I'm not going to.
Good.
Why would I
Don't.
do that? I'm
Because
not.
I thought you were going down that path and you don't want to
Why
do
would
that.
I do that? No,
I don't know.
I
Because
would not do that.
the guy with the pins and needles, he's gone, but his grandchildren, or if he had any, are out there.
I'm not sharing my address. You're not sharing your address. No one's sharing their address.
I'm
All
you're
I'm saying,
I'm not coming out and
you're
you're
not
not
coming
coming
in.
in. Right.
Exactly. I'm not sharing my address. You're not sharing your address. We have
Right.
reached a conclusion there. Cool. Awesome. So, next question. What's a piece of advice that you wish that someone had given to you in your 20s that you think would have helped you to navigate your 20s a little bit differently?
Shape
Um,
up.
gotcha. Okay.
Shape up.
Shape up, damn it.
Well, basically, life is not just looking for girls and it's not ignoring what's going on. It's basically applying yourself and trying to get to the next level and
Mhm.
maybe getting a better understanding of the philosophy, the learning process, whatever. Storing that information and making it useful is more important.
So, the piece of advice that you're giving is
Shape up,
shape up. Okay.
shape up, apply
Thanks, I
yourself.
will take that. Okay, I will. I'll take that into the rest of my 20s as I conclude the last few years
It's
and
not just your
just
20s.
shape up. It's
Shape up.
life.
It's life.
Just shape
Right.
up. Okay.
Right.
Um, cool. Thanks for that little sprinkle of wisdom, Dad. So with 2025, I guess quickly approaching, what's something that you want to experience, in this next year of life? Um,
Okay, I'll
for
tell you that
you
right
and
now
for
because I'll
me.
tell the end of this podcast, this episode. The podcast will go on, but this episode needs to end.
This
So
episode's
I
gonna
would
end.
say
It's basically almost over. We're done. We're wrapping it up. We're
I
letting
thought it
go.
was over about a half
Seriously.
hour ago, actually.
Well, there was more stories to be told. So,
Yes,
and
but
there's
but
always gonna be more stories to be told. So, but yeah, in seriousness, like what's something though in 2025 that you would like to experience in this next year?
I really don't want to think about anything specific. I just want to experience every day as it comes and enjoy it. That's it.
I love that.
Literally.
It's being here now. I that's a quote that I like is just be here now. I have to remind myself of that a lot. Um, and just try to practice mindfulness and like, not living in the past, not future tripping, but just being present in the now. And that's a really hard thing to do. So I hope that for both of us, we could just appreciate the moments as they come and be present. I think that's a really good thing for 2025.
Being present sounds like I'm back in grade school again with Mrs. Hannah, and she asked whether or not I was there, and then I threw up. Of course, that was after being attacked by the class.
Well, Dad, with that being said, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your evening with a nice warm bowl of chicken noodle soup and
Sounds good.
some TV and a nice warm
Cartoons,
blanket and
cartoons.
cartoons.
Absolutely.
So cool. We have some good things in store for 2025. Hopefully this podcast continues and hopefully we could let go of the Miss Hannah puke story in 2025.
Mrs.
Maybe
Hannah.
not.
Yeah, that's it.
Mrs.
Okay.
Hannah, please get back to me on the color of the flower. The color of the flower that your professor had on his shirt, I'm gonna be dying to know. So, let me know that too.
As will our
But
listener.
as will the list that is the most pertinent question is, yeah, what color was the flower on his shirt? But thanks. So, I hope in this episode, I had a good time learning a little bit more about the man behind the microphone, Paul Morrison.
Sounds like a name for a book again. The man behind the
I
mic.
know. Stories are us. Thanks for sharing some of your stories. Next time, we are going to unpack a little bit more about your BA and BS, aka bullshit ability. This is a really important skill that my dad taught me over the years is how to bullshit your way through life. Um,
That's great.
because sometimes it comes in handy. Sometimes you need to bullshit your way through things. So next time we're going to dive a little bit deeper into what that means for you and me and anyone. So, yeah. Thanks, Dad. I love you a lot.
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Is that a quote from somewhere? I've never
Yes.
heard that.
Yes.
Okay.
Google it and you'll find out about George Burns and Gracie Allen.
Well,
And
good night, Gracie.
good night, Gracie.
Okay. I love you. Bye.
Bye.